Alright. Howard Springs, Howard Springs Mandatory Isolation, the Quarantine Diaries, Day 12. Pretty much the second last day. Got the final COVID test today. For those who are unaware, you will need to get a COVID-19 test in whatever country you're in. I think it's 48 hours before you fly. Then when you arrive in Australia, at least at Howard Springs, you are tested again when you get off the plane. Then you're tested on day 7, then you're tested again on day 12. Doesn't really get much better, you know, it's... I didn't take a video for this one, but you can watch the other one, because it's essentially the same thing. It's someone sticking something down your throat and sticking that thing up your nose. They did give me a top tip, and they said some people have failed to realize you want to do mouth first and then nose, because if you do nose first, then you're tickling the back of your throat with some that's just been up there, which I thought was pretty funny, actually. You know, the guys who do it here, they're fantastic. Like, it's a job that they're doing, and I have so much pity for them because they get tested every single day. One of them said she thought she'd done about 100, she's had 100 tests herself over the last few months. It's every day when they get in or when they wake up or something, which is, wow. But yeah, you're exiting Howard Springs. That requires you to return a negative COVID test on the 12th. So it is extremely important that you know, if you know that you're negative, you're grand. But stay in your room, stay on your veranda, keep your mask on all the time. Just follow the rules, of simple stuff like that. Because if you have come into close contact with anyone who returns a positive test, you will be kept here for another 2 weeks. You can refuse the test. If you don't want to take it, that's completely up to you. That means you'll also stay here for another 10 days. So you'll be here for 24 days, not 14 days. Or even longer if after those 10 days you come into close contact with someone who actually tests positive. So probably best to get the test, you know. I don't know why you wouldn't. But yeah, that happened at 7 o'clock this morning. It's currently 20 past 7 at night. Now something went out today where they were talking about flight times. So when you're flying on, if you don't live in Darwin and you're traveling on domestically, they let you out of here at, I believe it's midday, but they try to get everyone to the airport 2 hours before their departure. So if, like me, you actually had to book a flight before 2 p.m., purely because, you know, where I'm traveling down to Melbourne. There was an early morning flight that I couldn't get. There was a late night flight that I could have gotten, but if I had gotten that, I would have arrived in Melbourne at 11:30. I would not have been able to travel on to my final destination, which means I would have spent either a night at a hotel, which I don't have the money for, or I would have spent a night on the streets, and I'm not keen to do that. So my flight's actually at 12:15, which means that my bus out of here is at like 9:30. So what that means is I am here for another 38 hours. So it's weird, you know, like it's suddenly come around. The first couple of days that you're here, you've got jet lag and you're tired as all hell. Nothing makes sense. All the timing is wrong. You go from, you know, if you came from the UK or from Europe, or like Canada or something, you're coming from bloody cold and wet and ice and snow maybe. And then you're coming into Darwin where it's 33 degrees one minute and then it buckets down with rain and it drops by literally about 6 degrees. There's a huge difference, and it drops by that much in like half an hour. So everything's wreaking havoc, but you take a couple of days to get over that. You settle into quarantine. you do everything you need to do, you find a rhythm, and then you've probably, you may have had your first test by then, you could have had your second, and then you get to thinking, oh, I'm out of here. 2 days, 38 hours. I should check that math, but that sounds about right. Yeah. So, I mean, all of this is providing that I return a negative COVID test tomorrow. I have been doing what they recommend in the UK. They don't make mention of it here, but they recommend in the UK that you don't eat, drink, or smoke at least half an hour before you have your test. So I've been getting up in the mornings, just not doing anything, nothing at all until I have the test, and then you can scoff down brekkie, have some water and everything, just so they don't return like an inconclusive test, so there's no problems with it. But yeah. That's been today. Oh, and of course I've packed up pretty much everything. Like, this is the shirt I'm wearing for the next 2 days. I'm wearing the same shorts I'm normally wearing, but I've got some jeans to wear on the plane because, I don't really want to wear these shorts for the 7 days in a row, so I'll wear jeans on the plane, even though they'll be hot as hell. But aside from that, I'm pretty much packed. The waiting is difficult, but it's honestly not too bad. You're just waiting, and it makes complete sense that you are. So, yeah, that is what today has been. Anyway, Quarantine Diaries, day 12. 2 days, 38 hours left. And in 49 hours, let's just say 50 hours, I should be in Melbourne for the first time in almost 5 years. And then a couple hours after that, I'll be asleep. Anyway, the normal stuff. If you are an Australian and you're overseas and you're watching this, register with DFAT. Please, please, please register with DFAT. If we can get an accurate idea of how many Australians are overseas, stranded or not, that makes it easier to allocate the resources to get those people who are vulnerable home. If you are not vulnerable, if you're not stranded, if you've got a job, if you're fine, just register anyway. Go down, scroll down the page where you're putting in your registration info and change the box to say, I am not currently seeking to return to Australia at this time. That's fine. But it means that we have your information, and it means that we know that you are all right. It means that we know we don't need to look out for you. But we can help the people that we do need to look out for. And if it turns out that you do need help in the future, you can change the box, and there you go, you're registered. If you are an Australian and you're in Australia, talk to any friends or family that you know who are overseas, tell them to register. If you're watching this and you're not Australian, talk to any Australian mates and just say, register with DFAT. Just makes it easier on all of us. Anyway, we'll talk to you tomorrow. By then, I should have a message back telling me whether I am positive or, fingers crossed, negative, because then I can get out of here. I can actually go. Like, Howard Springs is fantastic. It's great. It really is. But I just want to go. I just want to go. We'll see you tomorrow.